Anything else you want to say to your fans, man?
Man, shout out to Dontaesboxingnation. You know, follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, Earl Spence Jr. My whole name. And just look out for me.
Yes, sir. Dontaesboxingnation, what's going on, guys? So the upsets keep rolling in, huh? Big upset, the beginning of this year, Mark Magsayo, he defeats the longest reigning champion in the sport of boxing, Gary Russell Jr. Now, we're going to get to the injury and everything, but before we do, I had already told you guys going into this fight, it was the last video I made, I told you guys that this is a very, very dangerous fight for Gary Russell. Mainly because he was so inactive, and he's going in there with a guy, a Manny Pacquiao protege, who's 23-0 with 16 knockouts. Not to mention Gary Russell Jr., he's getting older on top of all of that. Now, I didn't say anything about the injury that Gary Russell actually said he had before this fight, but we've seen the injury that Gary Russell was talking about in this fight in the third round, where it really gave Gary Russell problems. I believe it was the third round. Mark Magsayo, he actually tried to throw a left hook. Gary Russell slipped the left hook, and he countered Mark with a perfect stiff right jab. When he threw that left jab, that's what re-injured his shoulder. From that point on, Gary Russell, he never used his right arm at all. He would occasionally use it as a rangefinder, but he didn't throw any more jabs. He didn't throw any punches with his right hand. And let me just tell you guys something. That's when you know that someone is really injured. So when you hear people like Lomachenko say he was injured in the Teofimo Lopez fight, but yet throughout the entire fight, he was still punching with that injured shoulder or hand. If you can keep punching and you can keep using your shoulder or your right hand or whatever the injury is, as if you're not injured, then what's the point of using that as an excuse? Once again, clearly in this case, Gary Russell was really injured, and we've seen it. You have to also give Gary Russell credit for not going back to his corner and quitting, which a lot of fighters have done. A lot of big fighters have done that before. But I'm talking about the fighters who really had an injury and then they went back to the corner and they quit. I'm not talking about the ones that were about to get knocked out and they just said, I suffered a shoulder injury, so let's stop the fight. Vitaly Klitschko comes to mind. When he was fighting against Chris Bird, he ended up quitting because he had a shoulder injury. So credit to Gary Russell knowing that he was going to be going into a very, very tough fight with a disadvantage, once again at age 33 with the inactivity. And yet Gary still managed to make the fight extremely competitive, literally with one hand. So it's like you're fighting with one hand tied behind your back, and yet the fight was still very competitive. This tells us that Gary Russell, he would have won this fight easily if it wasn't for the injury. But it was Gary Russell's choice to give Mark Magsayo his best chance of winning this fight by going in there with this serious shoulder injury that he suffered. So therefore, this is still a huge win for Mark Magsayo. I told you guys that this win would be reminiscent of when Manny Pacquiao, he came to the States, fought on the undercard, and he beat champion Leho Ledwaba. But this is actually bigger than that because Gary Russell was way more known and he was way more accomplished and celebrated. So while this is bad news for Gary Russell, this is really, really good news for not only Mark Magsayo and a lot of other top American prospects. Once again, like I told you, America dominates the sport of boxing. There is no other country that has as many undefeated, extremely talented, gifted prospects than America holds or has. So my point is, Gary Russell losing gives a whole lot of other American fighters an opportunity to get a really, really big win over Mark Magsayo. Because now that Mark has beat Gary Russell, we already know, first of all, he already has his country backing him, the Philippines, but he has another country that's going to be backing him more than his own country, and that's the racist fans in America that will always root against the black fighter. And you'll see the comments in the comment section of people from America celebrating this win to further prove my point. So once again, because Mark Magsayo is such a big featherweight, he can easily go up to super featherweight And then we could see a Mark Magsayo versus Shakur Stevenson fight. Once again, now that Gary Russell has lost, it gives other Americans a great opportunity to fight against someone that old media and these race fans are going to hype up. You also have names like Lil B-Hop, Colbert. You got other American prospects as well. I mean, we know when it came to Gary Russell Jr., even though he had a lot of good wins, he had a good resume, beating a lot of tough fighters, including Jojo Diaz, we knew he was always inactive. So my point is, this big, huge win for Mark Magsayo, it changes the landscape from the featherweight division to the super featherweight division, because now we have another guy or another fighter who can participate in more bigger, meaningful fights in the smaller weight classes. So I'm looking forward to seeing him match up with one of those other big names really soon, because I know they're all licking their chops right now. They're all lining up. They're going to all want to fight Mark Magsayo once again to elevate their careers, which means it also gives Magsayo a lot of opportunities to elevate his career if he can beat these other big names, if they're American or if they're not American. With that being said, I look forward to what's in the future for Mark Magsayo. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one. All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes, then this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called LO Decay Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to lodecay.com, like them on Facebook, and follow them on Instagram. Let me tell you guys about this company, NWA Cane Corsos. They breed Cane Corso Mastiffs, which is a guardian dog that is treasured for its protective nature and strong loyalty to family. If you're looking for a family-friendly dog that's intelligent, muscular, and brave enough to take on any intruder, then you need a Cane Corso Mastiff. Cane Corsos are extremely versatile, performing well in a variety of activities such as hunting, agility, competitions, and obedience trials. With its athleticism and versatility as a hunting dog, guard dog, sports dog, and a show dog, the Cane Corso Mastiff is perfect for any family. They also have standard French bulldogs with excellent health, structure, temperament, and superior bloodlines with many champions in present day and pedigrees. Visit NWA Cane Corsos on all social media platforms to find the perfect puppy for your home today. Fellas, I've got some great news for you. If you've lost your hair or have a receding hairline, the time has come when you can finally get your hairline back through a process called scalp micropigmentation. So here's how it works. It's a hair tattoo that replicates the look of your hair follicles when you have fully shaved it down. So to get this hookup, make sure you follow and contact my man Scalp Carolinas on Instagram.